going on, Jets fans? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got some awesome quotes from Aaron Glenn talking about Justin Fields, and also Fields was talking about his brand new relationship with God. Pretty cool stuff that we'll discuss on the front half of today's show. Then the second half, the Breece Hall trade rumors. Some people still think he could get dealt before the start of the season. I think it's ludicrous, but we will discuss Breece on the second half of today's show. Now, before we dive into it, if you guys could, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We started to close the gap between us and the Packers Report channel here at Chat Sports. We just need 1,500 more subscribers. It's a lofty goal. Not saying we could get it on today's show, but if you guys could help me out and make me look good for my bosses, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. So hit that subscribe button today. And also, we will be going live here on the channel right before kickoff against the New York Giants this Saturday. So even more incentive for you guys to hit that subscribe button. All right, so let's discuss what Aaron Glenn had to say on Justin Fields. Because Justin Fields, I don't know if you guys saw it, a viral Twitter account under the name of Dov Kleiman. It's just an aggregator. It's honestly one of the worst Twitter accounts out there. In a 24-hour span, he posted a Justin Fields highlight reel where it was Justin Fields making a couple of good throws. And then following that, he posted a low-light video of Justin Fields just kind of missing some basic throws at practice. And it started to go viral, and people started to critique Fields, and it just kind of started to get out of hand. So that caused Aaron Glenn, after practice, to get asked about Justin Fields, and this is what he said. I've told you guys this, and I'll tell him this. He is going to get criticized for every little thing. And the good thing about him is he is so mature. And we talk about this on a consistent basis. He doesn't care. The only thing that we care about is how he is operating, and is he getting better? And we see that in-house. We love where he's at right now. Does he have a way to go? Absolutely he does. Is he going to continue the work? Absolutely he will, because that's just who he is. We know exactly where he's at, and we know exactly where he's going, and we're going to continue to work until we get there. And I don't know why, but I just feel like other NFL fans just love taking shots at Justin Fields. And it doesn't really make sense because Justin Fields is an incredibly easy guy to root for. Like, he's been through a lot, not just in his NFL career, but in his own personal life. Like, if you go look up his story, he's got a sweet story about him, how he's dealt with seizures in the past and how he's had to overcome that. And it just feels like anytime people have a chance to take a shot at him, they will. And I don't even know if that's just because he was a top 11 pick in the draft. And, he was a polarizing player. He had a sweet, highlight reel, during his first couple of years in the NFL. And people obviously had high expectations for him. And he hasn't lived up to that so far. But that doesn't mean every single chance somebody has to take a shot at him that they should. And even Kayvon Thibodeau of the New York Giants today, he was taking a shot at Fields. He was asked, hey, how do you evaluate how Justin Fields did during the joint practices? And Kayvon was just saying, well, we couldn't really evaluate him because he just kept on running away from pressure. And it's just those little jabs that just, kind of drive me crazy. But that's just the business of being an NFL quarterback. But I do want to share with you guys a quote that Fields had on his new relationship with God. And it is pretty cool, him saying this. I think I used to let other people's opinions shape mine. But you can't do that because you start thinking like those opinions. I'm glad I've grown out of that stage. And I'm glad that the only approval I need now is from my teammates, my coaches, and ultimately God. I've been getting closer to God, reading the Bible every day, building that relationship. There's so much wisdom and so many great lines I didn't even know about. Honestly, I'm low-key addicted to getting my Bible each and every day just because I learn something new every day and I'm able to apply it to my everyday life. And I don't mean by saying this that Justin Fields was immature over the past couple of seasons, but it really seems like he has just grown up and he's a grown-ass man at this point. Him coming out of college as a 22-year-old kid, getting handed the keys to the Chicago Bears franchise, a massive market, and he goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, another massive market in the NFL. Now he's here with the New York Jets. Like, he's always had eyeballs on him. It's not like he's been, down in Jacksonville and he's been able to kind of float under the radar of the NFL circle. Like, anytime, like we were saying, a fan has a chance to take a shot on him, it is seen everywhere because the markets he has played in. But I've definitely seen him mature over the last couple of seasons, and he just feels confident about who he is. Like, he understands I'm not a perfect quarterback. I have stuff I need to work on, even just as a person, but I do like that he has shown some maturity, and he just seems really comfortable in his own skin, which is huge. And again, yes, that's off the field stuff, but I do think that can translate to on the field success, hopefully this upcoming season for JF7. But let's show him some love and support our quarterback because I think Jets fans are the only people that will support Fields. Right now, it just seems like anytime people get a chance to take a shot at him, they'll take it. So let's type his jersey number, type those sevens down below in the comment section. Now we'll talk about Breece Hall and if the Jets could trade him. Again, I think it's unlikely here in a second, but before we do so, if you guys want to get some new New York Jets merchandise in your life today, hit that link, chatsports.com/Jets hoodies. I'll put that in the comment section and description of today's show, but they're on sale right now. Take advantage of this. Just go to this link, chatsports.com/Jets hoodies. All right, so what's going on with Breece Hall? Because over the last couple of days, I've seen the Breece Hall trade rumors just start circulating. Like if you go look at just some random websites where it's Bleacher Report, CBS Sports, and talk about, hey, what players could get traded before the season, Breece Hall is almost always on that list. And I will put this out there. There is a 0% chance the Jets will trade Breece Hall before the season. That is incredibly unlikely, and I'm willing to stand on that. Like, that is a deal that will not happen because I guarantee you, Aaron Glenn, obviously he's going to want to run the football, and he wants to have that three-headed monster of Breece, Braylon, and Isaiah Davis. And also with Breece's stock being at a lower point in his NFL career, why would the Jets want to sell low on an asset like that? So I think there is no way he gets traded, but say all that to say this. I also have doubts if he is a New York Jet this time next season. Obviously entering a contract year, Jets can always extend him, which, again, I feel like is unlikely, but it's going to come down to this season. Like if Breece Hall has a monster year and he runs for 1,100 yards and the Jets rushing offense, gets to a top 10 unit in the National Football League, then the Jets will obviously pay him. But they also probably look like, all right, we got Braylon Allen, we got Isaiah Davis, even a guy like Donovan Edwards who was turning some heads during the first preseason game against the Packers. I'm sure maybe they're thinking, hey, what if next year we could just tag and trade him, or maybe they could potentially trade him at the deadline. We'll see. But Breece Hall was also talking about recently about Kyron Williams and James Cook getting their recent extensions, and he said this, saying they've done more than me. They've been in better situations, kind of taking a shot at the Jets. But it's also true. Like the Aaron Rodgers era of New York was not a good situation to be in. But he also said, I feel like I'm just as talented as anyone, but those two guys deserve their payday and got what they deserve. And I do appreciate the self-awareness here because, I'm sure if you asked him behind closed doors, like, hey, who's better, you or James Cook, you or Kyron Williams, he's probably saying himself, and he should have that type of confidence, but he also understands what those two running backs have done in their NFL careers so far is way more impressive than what Breece has done. But it's also not like Breece has done nothing in his NFL career. He's had a solid past 2 seasons. Now, hopefully he can get back to that 2023 version of himself where, he was a very effective running back, running for just under 1,000 yards, found the end zone 5 times, he did have 1,500 all-purpose yards if you're including the receiving department. And even this past year, the Jets having a terrible running scheme and a pretty shaky run-blocking offensive line this past season, he was still relatively successful. Now, I do think a Breece Hall trade, if it is going to happen, it's only going to happen at the deadline. And a couple of scenarios we need to play out. One, the Jets are probably going to have to start off the season like 1-5, which also I don't think is going to happen. But then also Breece Hall would probably have to have a good start to the season. But then again, if Breece is having a good start to the season, the Jets are probably better than 1-5. So even a trade deadline move for Breece, I think is unlikely unless it's like a team like, the Dallas Cowboys, for example. Even if Breece is struggling and the whole Jets offense is struggling, they're just like, hey, we just need to add more talent. Maybe they toss the Jets a 4th-round pick. Jerry Jones tossed the Panthers a 4th-round pick last year for Jonathan Mingo at the deadline, so anything's possible there. But I think these Breece Hall trade rumors are just, typical example of you got to get stories out there, you got to get clicks, you got to get headlines, and I think that's why these publications are putting out these ridiculous trade rumors around our guy, Breece Hall. But I'll ask you this. Maybe you want to see more Braylon Allen. Maybe you want to see more Isaiah Davis. What say you? Would you trade Breece Hall? T for trade, P for pass. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Jets.